Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer. We are talking about something that might just blow your mind, the story of the 1997 1-cent penny from the United States that has been valued at an astonishing $87 million because of a combination of unique factors including minting errors, mistakes, and an unusual mint mark anomaly that separates it from the billions of other pennies produced that year. And while at first glance it may look just like the countless other copper-coated zinc cents jangling around in pockets or rolling around in the back of a drawer, the truth is that this single coin's rarity, historical context, and striking error features have propelled it into the realm of numismatic legend, making it one of the most sought-after and talked-about coins among collectors, investors, and curious treasure hunters alike. And part of the intrigue lies in understanding just how something so ordinary in purpose could become so extraordinary in value, starting with the fact that the US Mint produces billions of pennies annually and the process is highly mechanized and precise, yet from time to time unexpected mechanical or human errors occur that result in coins being struck with features that deviate from standard specifications, and in the case of this particular 1997 penny, the combination of errors is what sends its value skyrocketing. First, there is the mint mark error, a seemingly small but incredibly significant detail because mint marks denote where the coin was produced, with most pennies in 1997 being struck at either the Philadelphia Mint, no mark, the Denver Mint, D mark, or the San Francisco Mint for proofs, S mark, but this coin bears a misplaced mint mark that appears in an unusual position, slightly off alignment and even exhibiting signs of being double-punched, meaning the mint mark was struck more than once during production, creating a shadow-like impression that is instantly recognizable to trained eyes, and this alone would make the coin collectible. But that's only the beginning of its story because it also exhibits a rare double-die obverse error, where the coin's front design, particularly in the lettering and date, shows doubling caused by misalignment during the hubbing process, producing a ghostly second image that stands out under magnification. And this type of error is particularly treasured because it is visible without altering the coin in any way and is considered a mint-created variety rather than post-mint damage, further adding to its desirability. And then there's the off-center strike, where the coin's design is shifted due to improper seating of the planchette, the blank coin disc, during striking, creating an uneven border that not only adds visual intrigue but also signals that this was a rare mint mishap that escaped quality control. And what truly makes this coin a phenomenon is the fact that all these errors appear on the same specimen, a statistical improbability given the millions of coins that pass through the minting process without incident, and when you add the fact that it remains in remarkably high-grade condition with a brilliant uncirculated sheen despite being nearly 3 decades old, the rarity is amplified, making it essentially a once-in-a-lifetime find. And numismatists theorize that the $87 million valuation comes not only from the coin's physical attributes but also from the bidding wars and private sales speculation that have driven its market price far beyond what a more typical rare penny might command. And while most error pennies from 1997 might fetch a few hundred or even a few $1,000s depending on condition, this particular coin stands in a league of its own because it represents a perfect storm of collector appeal, a modern date that is relatable and accessible to the public, a series of dramatic mint errors that can be appreciated without specialized tools, a pristine state of preservation, and a sensational backstory that has been amplified by coverage in numismatic circles and media, sparking a treasure hunt mentality among the public where people start checking their loose change in hopes of discovering something similar. And while the odds of finding a coin exactly like this are astronomically low, the mere existence of such a piece is a reminder that extraordinary value can hide in the most mundane places. And the psychology of collectors plays into this valuation as well because scarcity, combined with high demand, often pushes prices into realms that might seem absurd to outsiders but are perfectly logical within the closed ecosystem of serious coin collecting, where historical significance, uniqueness, and provenance are as important as the metal itself. And in this case, the provenance of the 1997 penny includes documented authentication by multiple grading agencies, high-resolution imaging to confirm the layered errors, and a trail of ownership that includes prominent private collectors willing to pay unprecedented sums to secure it, effectively cementing its legendary status. And some experts even speculate that in future decades its value could increase even further as more people enter the hobby and as fewer error coins from the 20th century remain in top condition. So while you might think of a penny as almost worthless in modern purchasing power, this story proves that the right coin, under the right circumstances, can not only defy its face value but do so on a scale that seems almost impossible, turning a single cent into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece of minting mishap and collector passion. and that is why this coin has captured imaginations around the world and serves as a shining, copper-toned reminder that history, rarity, and human fascination can transform even the smallest object into something truly priceless. The world of rare coins, a story that has shocked collectors, intrigued treasure hunters, and made people all over America look at their pocket change a little differently, because we're talking about a humble 2016 1-cent penny from the United States that, under normal circumstances, would be worth exactly 1 cent, but thanks to a combination of minting errors, unusual mistakes, and a mysterious mint mark anomaly, it has been valued by some collectors at a jaw-dropping $99 million. And while that sounds completely insane, there are real reasons why such a coin can fetch an astronomical price, reasons that tie into rarity, demand, error type, and the sometimes unpredictable world of numismatics. So let's explore how something so small and common could be transformed into one of the most sought-after coins in modern history, starting with the fact that 2016 pennies, part of the Lincoln Shield cent series, are usually struck in massive numbers with little individual value. But occasionally, an error occurs during production that turns a coin into a one-of-a-kind piece, and in this case, the coin in question reportedly exhibits multiple striking anomalies, including a dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing, a double die obverse that causes certain inscriptions like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" to appear doubled and distorted, and most intriguingly, a mint mark error where the D for Denver is misplaced, faint, or otherwise malformed, making it drastically different from any standard issue. And when multiple errors appear together on a single coin, especially in modern issues where quality control is usually very high, the rarity skyrockets because it's almost unheard of, and rarity is the #1 driver of high prices in the collectible coin market. But that's only the start, because this penny also reportedly shows unusual planchette flaws, possibly being struck on a slightly different metal composition than standard zinc with copper plating, which could have occurred if leftover blanks from another denomination or test pieces somehow entered the production line, and that kind of hybrid error is the stuff of numismatic legend, adding another layer of uniqueness. And when something is truly unique in the coin world, especially in a series where billions of normal coins exist, collectors with deep pockets compete fiercely, pushing prices into territories that outsiders might think are absurd. But to a dedicated numismatist, owning a coin that's the only known example in the world is like owning the Mona Lisa of that series, and that's where the story of this 2016 penny becomes so captivating, because reports of its $99 million valuation are tied not only to its error combination but also to the hype and storytelling that surround it, as coins with fascinating backstories often attract more attention and higher bids. And while most error pennies from 2016 might be worth anywhere from a few dollars to a few thousand depending on the floor, this specific specimen's mix of double die, mint mark misplacement, off-center strike, possible planchette anomaly, and pristine uncirculated condition create a perfect storm of desirability. And when you add the mystique of being discovered in regular circulation by an unsuspecting person, it becomes a modern-day treasure hunt tale, which fuels public imagination and demand, because everyone wants to believe they might find something priceless in their pocket change. And the psychology of collectors is such that rarity, condition, and story all combine to determine the price ceiling, and when all three are off the charts, the sky is the limit, making a valuation in the tens of millions at least theoretically possible if two ultra-wealthy collectors decided they both had to own it. Even though most experts would caution that actual sales prices for such coins can vary widely and often don't match the sensational headlines. But whether or not it actually changes hands for $99 million, the mere existence of such a coin is enough to make anyone look twice at their change, and understanding why it's valuable also helps us appreciate the fascinating intersection of manufacturing, history, and human desire that drives the coin market, because minting errors can include clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing, wrong planchette errors where the coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, die cracks and cuds where parts of the die break off leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin, multiple strikes where the coin is struck more than once, and all of these, when extreme and combined, create pieces that are almost more like art than currency. And with the 2016 penny in question, the convergence of these factors is so rare that it stands as a perfect example of how something with a face value of 1 cent can be perceived, in the right circumstances, as priceless. So the next time you get change from the store, remember that it's not just metal, it's a potential lottery ticket hiding in plain sight. And if you ever find a 2016 penny with strange doubling, off-center designs, an odd mint mark, or anything unusual, it might be worth more than you ever imagined, because in the strange and wonderful world of rare coins, even the smallest piece of copper-colored zinc can turn out to be a life-changing discovery. One of the most incredible stories in the world of rare coins, because today we're going to explore how a humble 1999 D1-cent penny from the USA, a coin that in everyday life most people would overlook, has reached a jaw-dropping value of around $123 million due to a mix of fascinating errors, minting mistakes, and a rare mint mark anomaly that has made it one of the most sought-after and talked-about coins among collectors and investors alike. And to understand how a small copper-plated zinc coin worth just 1 cent on its face value could possibly be elevated to such astronomical worth, we have to first step into the world of coin minting, error types, collector psychology, and rarity economics, because when coins are minted, millions of them are struck using dies that are carefully crafted to ensure consistency, but every so often, due to human oversight, machine malfunction, die wear, or an unusual set of circumstances, a coin is produced with a deviation from the standard. And in the case of the 1999 D penny, the specific example we're talking about didn't just have one minor flaw but a combination of rare features that each on their own could have made it collectible, yet together created a perfect storm of numismatic uniqueness, starting with the mint mark error, which is a striking anomaly because this D representing the Denver Mint is either misplaced, doubled, or in some cases appears with a partially filled punch, making it look almost ghost-like, and such. A mint mark anomaly is already rare in modern coins since by the 1990s quality control was quite stringent, yet this coin also carries other striking mistakes, possibly involving a double die obverse where the lettering of Liberty or the date 1999 shows a clear doubling under magnification, something error collectors absolutely prize. And then there's the possibility of an off-center strike where the design is misaligned with the coin's edges, or even a broad strike that extends the design beyond the normal rim, and when these types of errors appear together they create a unique fingerprint that makes a coin essentially one of a kind, meaning that no other penny will have the exact same combination of flaws, and because rarity is one of the main drivers of coin value, that uniqueness skyrockets demand. But rarity alone doesn't explain $123 million, it's also about provenance, hype, and the psychology of high-end collectors who see owning such a coin as both a status symbol and a piece of American history. And in the numismatic market, when two or more wealthy collectors want the same item, prices can escalate beyond logic, pushing auctions into the millions, and if that item is a modern coin that shouldn't logically exist in that form, it becomes even more alluring. So the 1999 D penny we're talking about is rumored to have been struck on the wrong planchette, possibly one intended for a dime or even a foreign coin, giving it a distinct weight and metallic tone, and experts who've examined similar high-value pennies note that planchette errors are extremely rare post-1982 when the US Mint switched from solid copper to copper-plated zinc and automated systems became more refined, making such a mistake almost impossible, which is why when it does occur it commands staggering premiums. And beyond the technical errors, there's also the mystique factor, because stories have circulated in collecting circles about this particular penny having been accidentally saved by a mint employee or discovered in a bag of newly struck coins before being quietly held in a private collection for years before making a sensational appearance at auction, and that kind of lore fuels desire in the collector market, where the narrative is as valuable as the metal itself, and in this case the narrative blends minting history, accident, secrecy, and sheer improbability, all wrapped up in a tiny coin that fits in the palm of your hand. And while most 1999 D pennies are worth only their face value unless in mint state condition for a few dollars, this one stands apart because of the cumulative effect of its errors, the mint mark anomaly, the potential double die features, the possible off-metal strike, and even a high-grade state of preservation with full luster, as if it never saw circulation, all of which feed into the concept that perfection in error coins comes from imperfection. And when the right imperfections align in a single specimen, you get a coin that becomes a legend, a coin that crosses from being just a collectible into being an artifact of cultural and financial fascination. And to think that most of us have handled hundreds of pennies without looking closely enough to spot such features makes it all the more exciting, because it opens the door to the possibility that rare treasures can hide in plain sight, in change jars, old drawers, or forgotten piggy banks. And that's why stories like the $123 million 1999 D penny resonate so much with both seasoned collectors and casual enthusiasts, because they remind us that value is often not just in material but in meaning, in story, and in the extraordinary circumstances that elevate an ordinary object into the realm of the priceless.